What's that I hear you say? Don't quit your day job. This is the finished picture of the Morse Key. Hello, and welcome to The Art of Engineering, a place where art meets engineering. And today, we're doing the Homebrew Morse Code Key project. Hi there, folks. Been thinking about getting back into ham radio and been really regretting the fact that at the end of my interest in the hobby, I just either sold or gave away everything. I had a great Morse code key, which is an ex-telegraphy key, probably from the early 1900s, and I gave that away. And many a ship I've left as they've replaced me with the Global Maritime Distress Sea Safety System. And I'll put a link in the video below to show you some of the stuff I got up to when I was a ship's radio officer in the Merchant Navy. But I could have taken those Morse keys when I left the ship, like a lot of my friends did. But I didn't, thinking, who's ever going to want a Morse key? Well, I want a Morse key now, and I don't have a Morse key. And I thought, well, I'll pop online. I'm sure they're scrapping ships. They'll have, 3,000 of them sitting in the back of a room somewhere in India. Well, you go online, and a second-hand Morse code key is a good high mount key that would have been an ex-ship's key, which would have been 30, 40 years old, even older than that. Those keys are now going for anything from one that needs a lot of work is $200, $300, and from there $500 up. I've seen keys for $2,000. So people that think that Morse code is going to die, you only need to tune around on the amateur bands during a competition and see just how jam-packed the bands are in Europe to understand that people are still wanting to send Morse code. So, and this person is going to be getting back on the key very shortly, but I had the dilemma of not having much of a key to work with. I do have this this toy from Dick Smith's that used to be sold, and look, it does the job. I could use this on a transmitter, probably not a high power transmitter, but the transmitter that I'm talking about building and using, and the type of stuff that I'll be operating on is what's known as QRP, which is low wattage. So, what to do? Well, I headed off to the antique store, hoping that maybe someone's chucked one in the back of a cupboard somewhere, not knowing what the value is, and of course, hoping really against hope, because those places, people know what stuff is worth, and if they don't, they jump online and pretty quickly find out what it is worth. So, anyway, we went to an antique store. And realising that trip to the antique store was a waste of time, well, it wasn't a waste of time, we had a great time looking at old stuff. I decided that I was going to go to the place where I've always gone when I wanted to create stuff like this studio or whatever. I went to Bunnings and I started looking at stuff and thinking, how can I turn this stuff into a Morse key? And that is kind of like what I'm expecting it to start to look like. You've got this handle here. I'm planning on, this is hollow aluminium, so I can run wiring through this actual handle. So that's the plan. And this device here provides a pivot on which the Morse key will operate. Now, I was going to use this device here as part of the key, because I thought it would look really cool at one end, maybe as a contact, but it's way too high. So unless I get a really thick piece of timber and I can push it down inside, which is a possibility, so I haven't discounted that possibility of using it that way, we'll have to probably come up with something else. But we've also got this strip of aluminium here, which is going to be used on the base to give me channels to actually pass current and whatnot. So I'm actually thinking this could actually work really, really well. And if it turns out, it might be something that I can put online, and it might be of use to other people who live in Australia and have access to Bunnings. And a quick and gratuitous little plug for my REDBUBBLE store, and this is a shirt that's been made in commemoration of all things Morse and radio, and it is my Homebrew Morse Key CW shirt. Now this is available on all sorts of stuff, cups, shirts, you name it, it's there. So please, you'll find the link below to take you to the page, both the Amazon merch store. If you're in the US, it might be cheaper to buy there. Otherwise, anywhere else, you'll probably be, especially if you're in Australia, you're probably better off buying a REDBUBBLE store. Yeah, and back to the video. Okay, the obsession with all things Morse is continuing. I was going to be studying for my mechanics exam, but presently I'm wanting to just get a start on the key. So yeah, as usual, I'm avoiding. The procrastination monkey has taken over, and I'm avoiding studying what I'm supposed to be doing. Anyway, I'm looking at keys. This down here is a side paddle, different type of key. I'm building a straight key. That's all I've ever used. And this one here, I'm only looking at it because I want to know what sort of geometry we're looking at, and in particular, how far forward this normally comes, the front of the key. That's the technical term for it, where the actual contact is that we've got. And I've noticed that the geometry of this is such that the pivot point is virtually halfway between, but we've got a lot more arms sticking out this side, which would mean that that's the side that has the mechanical advantage if you're talking about it in engineering terms. And in the back here, you've got your little compression spring, and you can adjust the tension on that. So you can adjust how much pressure there is that needs to be applied to engage the key. But I have made a few modifications, so we'll go have a look at that now. Look out, here's trouble. What I've done is this handle that I had, this kitchen handle, was going to be a little bit too high for the actual key. So what I've done is I have used my trusty Azito, $40 drill, and my $15 Azito angle grinder, and I've cut the ends off this thing. So these were sticking off the end here to make it into a handle.
You filming?
Hello.
Hello.
And so yeah, we've just cut those off, and I'll probably get myself a bit of black spray paint just to tidy that up. But that leaves the actual key handle button at the right position, I think. So it's going to make things a lot more key-like. So already, I thought I could have just used the thread that was in the handle, but and you probably could have done it if you played around with the height at the base. But I think this is going to be a better solution. Utter carnage. I just had my introduction to mechanical engineering exam today, so I just needed a little bit of play to avoid the study that I have to do for my final exam. So yeah, this was my attempt at the exam. Rather pathetic in sections. I won't lie, I needed to do more work. But I think I only need 3 out of 30 to pass the subject, so which isn't a good attitude. So I'm hoping I get more than 3 out of 30, but you never know. Anyway, I am mumbling and ranting on. I'm actually looking for the base that I just did. Oh, it's out here. So that is the base. So there's quite a bit of I used a counter bore, which is I think it's called a counter bore, one of these things, and this is the cabling at the bottom of the key, and that's all the drilling that happened on the top. And look, I freestyled it, and you can see that I had to enlarge some holes because they weren't straight, and you know, my drop saw is so dodgy that it cuts, you know, not at 90 degrees, etc, etc. But you know what, I still think it's going to turn out all right. I'm having so much fun with this. I'm starting the arty-farty part of this. If you don't already know, I am the lunatic painter. So apart from studying engineering and being, well, not a new ham, a ham that's going back into being a ham operator. Oh, God. Low power mode. Kill me now. I also make art, so anything that I do is going to be very organic. So I apologise in advance, and it's also going to have some artistic aspect to it. I can't help myself. So I'm going to paint up the base for this key that I'm making. I'm thinking I'm going to have some really nice gold gouache around the edges of it, and the rest of it will be black. I've gotten my lino carving tools. You know, you kids at school that have done lino cutting or wood cuts will know all about these tools. And I'm going to carve my initials and the year that this key was created. There's my initials and the year. And what I'm going to do is a technique that I do with the kids all the time in art classes is you put lots of lead pencil on the back of this, and then you sit it on whatever you want the text to appear on, and you trace the letters, and the lead that you put on the back will transfer onto whatever you're actually going to carve. And then I'm going to carve the letters so they're embossed into the base of the key, and then I'm going to have gold gouache in the letters as well. So hopefully I'll have gold embossed letters. Now it might end up looking like crap. If it does look like crap, I'm probably going to have to throw some other letters over the top of it or do some dodgy thing like that to fix it. But I always like doing stuff by hand, so hey, you've always got 50% chance of a mess or a masterpiece. See you shortly. So now we have it stuck down. We just want to get ourselves something that's quite sharp. And yeah, we're going to put the glasses on, and we're just going to trace the outside mostly all the way around. Yeah, very disappointing because I actually didn't check the back to see whether the graphite lined up with the letters. But let's have a look and see what's happened. You never know. It's usually a good idea to peel up back one end so that you can pop it back down again in the same position should it not have transferred as well as you would have liked. Okay, well, I don't know if you can see that, but it has transferred. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have a crack at carving this. You don't have to watch that, it's going to take too long. Well, if I was going to carve this by hand, I probably should have gone with bigger lettering. But we do have the Dremel, like I was saying, so we're going to give that a shot. Well, we've got the base finished and varnished up nicely, and we've gone with a bling and gold gouache, and it's got the initials on it and the year that it was made. So we're going to now try and get this thing assembled. And yeah, we've got a ton of parts. I'll show you what's happening down on the desk. So these are the parts that are going to be used to assemble the completed key. So we've gone for quite a. I don't think it's a complex build. I think it's worth putting a bit of time into this stuff. It's something that that I am going to use. So hopefully a lot. And after all, a Morse code key is basically just a switch. And this one's a switch that's it's working. So, I bet you're all wondering, what's it like to use? Well, it's actually quite a solid action, and obviously adjustments the way I've set it up. You could spend a lot more time making it much more adjustable, but because I'm not the only person that's going to be using it, basically I'm going to set it up to get the action the way I want it, and then it's going to be tightened up and left as is. So I'm fairly happy with not fairly happy, I'm very happy with how it feels. It actually does feel like a key that I would have used on a ship. So I'll send a very quick CQ. Out of practice. That's because I don't know my call sign yet. Anyway, that's the action. The gap's probably a little bit wide for my liking, so I will tighten that up. But very happy with how it's all working. We've got this. Actually, I'll turn the camera. I'll get the camera up, and we'll just have a better look at. Yes, such professional production values. So that is the key. And God, I hope the microphone's been working. Yeah, it's pretty late. That's the key, and we were talking about tension springs, compression springs. Normally there's a spring at the back, and what happened was I actually bought a spring to use as a compression spring, and then I of course put it in the wrong spot because I'm mechanically retarded, so I probably did fail that mechanics exam that I just did. But you know, it took a little bit of mucking around, but the spring is at the front. These wonderful cable ties. I use cable ties for everything. You fix the space shuttle with a cable tie, I reckon. And I did that because I didn't want to have to weld this part. It's chromed. I don't have a welder, so you know, down the track I'm hoping I'll have stuff like that, and I'll be able to do stuff that's more metalwork like. But desperate times call for desperate actions, and I can honestly say it's nice and rigid. It's not going anywhere, and yeah, I'm happy with that solution for the time being, because it is a down and dirty homebrew key. We've got our initials on there, and the year and whatnot, and the key itself, I am really happy with it. It cost probably about $50. You could save a lot of money if you scavenged parts and looked around for stuff. You could find old kitchen cupboard door handles and bits of wood and screws and whatnot. So it's not like you have to spend that amount of money. I reckon you could, if you spend a bit of time scavenging around, you could throw together a key that felt decent to use for definitely under $20. And yeah, so I'm just really looking forward to using the key. If you did like this video, you can help me out by looking in the link below. There will be a link to my Redbubble store and a shirt to commemorate the construction of this wonderful key. And it's going to be something that's commemorating Morse code in general as well. So if you like to look at the shirt, buy the shirt. Please like and subscribe the video. And stay tuned for more adventures as I start to set up this ham station. And of course, I'll be able to tell you how I went in all those exams I'm discussing that I wasn't studying for while I was building this key. So this presently I'm studying for an engineering degree, but this person might be a ham radio operator and an ex-engineering student if things don't go well. But I'm hoping next year there'll be more adventures on the engineering front as well. Anyway, I shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.